Okay, so the first thing we're going to talk about is Office 365. Office 365, as you see here, it is all these apps that you see below. So like Outlook, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, OneNote, Teams, and SharePoint. Um, if you guys already are using Office 365, if you already have a computer, you most likely probably already have this installed on it. But if you have a creative account, what you can do is you can go to office.com, and I'll show you guys how to do this. Essentially, what you're going to do is you're going to go to office.com, and you can actually download and install this up to 5 different devices. So even if you have a Mac or a Lenovo or Surface, whatever device you have, you can actually install this on it, even on your cell phone as well. If you click on the actual link, I'm going to exit off the presentation for a second just to show you guys. So if you go to office.com, and when you go to office.com, you may not come to this page right away. You may be asked to sign in. If you're asked to sign in, just sign in with your email address and password. Once you sign into it, then you should come to this page here. You can access these applications on an online version. So if you click on them, you can actually open up a Word document and create a Word document and edit a Word document all through the internet. You don't even have to have the software on your computer. And another good thing too is that it does also keep a record of recent documents that you've opened through SharePoint or through OneDrive. Let me go back one more. And again, so this is where you would go to access these applications. And if you want to install Office, you just click here to install Office. Once you click on it, it will automatically run. If you have a computer that, or if your internet connection is not that great, you may want to actually save the document before running it just to make sure that it downloads properly. But you would just select save as, and you can select the location that you want to save it to. It's usually best to save it to the desktop so it's easy to find and easy to download and install. I'm going to cancel this out. If you have a Mac, what you would need to do is you would go up here to all other install options. And you would view apps and devices. No, I'm sorry. And when you come here, if you want to get Office for your iOS for an Apple, you will have to click here, and it would take you to the option to download the actual app through the App Store. So that's how you would get that one. And for your phones, if it's going to be on like your Android or your iPhone, the easiest way to do that is just to go to the actual Apple Store or the Play Store and download the Office app. They have one for each individual app, but you'll have to download each one. So like if you want Excel or Word or PowerPoint, you'll have to install each one as you want them. For Teams, for the actual Teams app, you will actually have to click on Teams. So when you install Office, you will get automatically Outlook, OneDrive, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, OneNote, and that's it. SharePoint, well, for Teams, what you're going to want to do is you want to click on Teams from the same office.com page. And what you can do from here is you can either use the web app instead, or you can get the Windows app. If you get the Windows app, what it will do is it will actually download Teams for you to install. So here you would just go ahead and save it if you have a bad connection, or you can just automatically run it. Once you run it, it'll install the software, and then it should be on your computer for you to find. Okay. So that's Office 365. As long as you remember this office.com and you have your login information for your account, then you should be able to get in and you should be able to download and install Office to any device that you want, up to 5 different ones. All right. Teams. Okay. So once you actually download and install Teams on your computer, or if you already have Teams on your computer and you're signed into it, I'm just going to list some of these things, these key things, and then I'm going to actually show them to you as well. So with Teams, there is 10 hours of international free calling per month. So if you guys need to make calls with Teams, you can do that at no extra cost for the company. You can also pin conversations and flag messages to be easily found in Teams. So managing your chats is easy. Um, all meetings can be recorded to Teams and downloaded. You can add apps to your channels. You can also create personal status messages. So like not only can you update your status as being available or not available, you can add personal messages in there to allow people to know exactly what's going on. You can also send your calls to voice messages to voicemail or to another team person. And you can also, another great thing that I love about Teams is that when we have our department meetings, anyone can start your meetings for Teams. It's not like Zoom where you have to have a host to start the meeting. Anyone can start the meeting and continue on without the host being present. So I'm going to get into Teams a little bit. I'm going to show you guys my Teams. I'm going to show you all the things that we talked about. Okay, so these are our chats. As you can see, it looks like Jacob's already sent me a chat earlier today saying he wasn't able to attend the training. So as you can see, and we'll just start from his chat right here on how things actually work. So once you open up Teams, you'll see there's a whole bunch of tabs on the left-hand side. You'll have files, calls, calendar, Teams, and then chats. Right now, I'm in chats, and that's normally where I stay at because mostly everything I can do from chats. A lot of Teams communications is really great for office communication because it creates visibility. As you can see from just a sight of my eye, I can see Roger's not signed in. I can see Alina's in a meeting or on a call. I can see she's in a call. I can see Prasanna's away. I can see Jacob is still available right now. I can tell that he's online. So it creates visibility and availability for everyone in the company. So easily from chats here, as you can see, I have some messages pinned up here. I have these pinned up here because these are, which I can do easily. So if I wanted to, someone I work with frequently, sometimes I just want to have their messages up top so I can easily find them for whatever particular reason. I'll just pin them up so that way their messages always stay up here in the pin section. And then everyone else will just fall into recent. So as you send me a message, you'll fall at the top of my messages, at the top of recent. And anyone who's pinned will always stay up here no matter how often or when was the last time they sent you a message. If you want, you can also save messages. So like if there was a password, well, I don't suggest passwords being sent through Teams, but if there was some important information or something that you may want to come back to, like a Wi-Fi password or something like that that you may want to come back to, you can actually save the message. Once you save the messages, they'll fall up. You can find them up here under saved. And you can see any messages that you saved. Like here, I saved a link for a discount program. So that way I can easily find it whenever I needed to. And these others were just examples. But yeah, and then if you want to unsave them, you just do this. You just uncheck the flag and then it'll go back. Another thing you can do from chats, directly from chats, is you can actually turn your chat into a phone call. So a lot of the times when people need help from me, they'll reach out to me via chat and we'll have a conversation. I'll say, hey, can we conversate via Teams? The quickest thing for me to do is just come up here and hit the call button, and it turns our chat into an actual call to that person. And the same thing with the video option. We can turn into a video call if we like, or they can just start sharing their screen off to me as well, which you can also do if you're in the call. If you're in the call, there's an option for you to share the screen off at the bottom. You can also add other people to the message. So if you wanted to create a group chat, you can do that from here as well. As you can see, I have a couple of chats with like multiple people in them. Like here I have Kadir and Nasir. They're in the same chat. So you can do that if you want. You can add other people to a chat message. And what it does is creates a separate line. So you see here, this year, we have our direct communication. And then once I add Kadir to a message, it automatically flips to a totally separate conversation. So it doesn't allow the other person to be able to see what you guys previously talked about. It just allows the new added person to be able to see what you guys continue to talk about. All right. So that's chats. Under Teams, I'm not sure if you guys are in Teams yet, like if you have a team under Teams yet, but if you do, this is where you guys can, or you can request to have a team created if you don't already have one. The one good thing about Teams here is you see, I'll show you, see here's some notes from one of our meetings. So when we do our department meetings, we may not necessarily or even department communications. Sometimes we get these mass emails that go out and back and forth where everyone replies to all, and it may just be introducing a new person to someone's department. Instead of like those mass messages going out, we can actually send these messages out via Teams chats. That way, these messages kind of flow through here. I can see them. So, like when they were coming out yesterday or the day before, it may not necessarily be something pertaining to me, or it may not even be something that's really highly important for like everyone, but we just kind of want everyone to know. So like this, we posted like an agenda for like our meetings, or we may even post stuff like a link. So I posted a link for like a error message for updates or something like that on a Surface Book. So these are things that you can post, not necessarily private stuff, but things that are for your whole department that you want to share with everyone without sending out mass messages. So that's kind of where Teams play in at. You can also come in here, like you can add OneNote. So like another thing you can do is like you can add notes in here. So like if you have a weekly meeting, as you can see, it retained um, a note that I had from a weekly meeting from 22217, which is actually not accurate. It was 220, 21720. But anyway, so essentially it will retain your data here. And so you can create messages and notes for each meeting that your department has. That way it's easy for you to find. You can also do Planner. You can add different apps in here. You can also see your document library from here if you want, and share off documents directly from Teams. Teams has a lot of great features if you flip through these. A lot of times, majority of that I just stay under post and I actually just post things, and that's pretty much it. But it does have some extra features that you guys can use as well. Under calendar, this is where this actually syncs up to you guys' Outlook calendar. If you want, you can come in here and you can create meetings. Again, any meeting that you create in Teams, and I'll just show you one. This is our weekly department meeting. In here, I can see this is Mario's organizer for the meeting. I can see everyone who is a part of the meeting, so it creates visibility. This is one thing that you can't see through Outlook very clear without having to look for it. But here I can see everyone's accepted. I can see everyone who's a part of the meeting. And when we actually start the meeting, I can do it from here. I can join the meeting, or if I want, I can just click on the link here to actually join the meeting. I can also add notes in here if I want to. I can add files to the meeting if I want, as well as making chats to the actual meeting itself. Right. And you can also create new meetings here too. So if I want to create a new meeting, I can add any attendee. If the person doesn't have, if their name doesn't auto-populate, then what you can do is you can just type in their whole email address. And it'll add them. So then I'll just invite myself. Um, Test meeting. So anyone can join Teams, a Teams meeting. Even though we use it a lot for office communication, anyone outside of the company can join a Teams meeting as well. They may not have the same features that you have because, of course, if they don't have the full Teams version, they won't be able to see everything or do certain things like chats and things like that. But they will be able to join a meeting just like any other meeting software. Okay. And you can also create an instant meeting from here as well. Which you can do this, but again, you can also do that from chats if it's with a particular person. But if you want to do a meet now, you can do this and you can add in other people from outside. So if you want to add in, oh, let me show you guys. We'll join into a Teams meeting. And what I can do is I can invite someone. Okay. All right. Well, it won't allow me to do the actual email address from here, but I can add people from here. And then what I can do for everyone else, which I can do is just copy the join information and send a link out to whomever it is that I want to add to the meeting. That's how you can do that. Also down here, just so you guys know, if you want to share something off, you would just click share from here. And then you would select whatever it is that you want to share. And then once you select what you want to share, I always suggest doing the whole desktop. So that way, if you switch between different windows, so if you just show them a PowerPoint, but you switch between different things like I'm showing you guys now, that you can do that without having to come back in here and share off that extra screen. So the best thing to do is to select desktop, and then also keep in mind that if you have any audio that you can actually do that from here. You can include the audio to the actual to the thing from here. Oh, sorry. I actually invited Lisa to the meeting. Okay. All right. So yeah, you can do all those things from here. And just make sure you click this off if you have audio. That's really important. Or else the person who you're sharing it off with will not hear the audio, which has happened to a couple people recently over the last week. Um, it happens. All right, so I'm going to end this. And then also, just so you know, too, under more actions, this is where you can go to record the meeting if you want. And that's it. Okay. All right, so I'm going to end this. And just to show you guys really quickly, if you actually do record the meeting, what's going to happen is you're going to receive a message here. And you'll actually get a message saying that the recording is completed. You'll even receive an email letting you know that that recording has been done. So to find that recording once completed, you can go to your chat and it'll pop up there. And then most likely this message will be bolded if the recording is available. Okay. All right, calls. Under calls, this is where you would make all your calls. If you want to make an international call, all you need to do is hold down the 0 for a second, and then you'll get the plus sign. And then you can dial the number as you please. Again, we get 10 hours of free international calling per month. If you don't have the call feature on here with a phone number, then you should still be able to actually call anyone who has Teams. So as long as you can find them in here, um, anyone you can find in here. So I found Jacob as I can actually just click on his name and I can actually just call him if I would like. Another thing you can do from here too is under contacts. So if you have contacts that you're working with that you don't find in here often, you can actually just save their information here. You can save their phone numbers. So that way it's easy to call them and you don't require to have to actually dial their number every single time you need to contact them. You can just actually save their information under contacts and it'll make it easier for you to be able to call them or reach out to them in the future. Under history, this is where you would go to see any calls that you've had, whether they're outgoing or incoming. Um, and if you want, you can just click on these three dots over here, and this will allow you the options to be able to call them back, or you can add them to your contacts or chat with them, whatever it is that you please. Under voicemail, of course, this is where you guys will go to find all your voicemails. You can listen to these. Um, Another thing you can do with these is, and you can do the same thing from here too. You can block numbers as well. So if people are calling you and leaving you messages that you don't know from unknown numbers, you can actually block them as well. If you actually want to change your voicemail and make other changes, you would come up here in the top right-hand corner where your picture is at or your initials. Under here, there are certain things you can do. Here is my status. Right now it shows that I'm in a meeting because it's on my calendar and I'm currently in a meeting. So it does show in a meeting or on a call if you're on a call. Um, but you can also change your status if you want to. So even though I may be in a meeting, sometimes I may set up for a meeting when I'm actually in the meeting. I want to change my status to available. I can do that whenever I want to. Uh, it's not allowing me to do it right now, which is not. But normally it will do it. Yeah, there we go. Okay. It's probably just moving a little slow. All right, so yeah, so you can change your status to whatever you want to change it to. And another thing that to keep in mind too is do not disturb. Do not disturb is good for situations like this where I'm presenting to you, guys, and I don't want anyone to send me messages. So if someone sends me a message or call me right now, essentially it'll go straight to voicemail or the chats will just I'll see the number increase like I see here in the chats, but it will not allow me to get notifications. You see up here it says I'm set to do not disturb. It's only getting a notification for urgent messages from priority contacts, which I don't have any priority contacts right now. So essentially everyone's message will go to chats and I'll just see them later when I'm ready. I can also set a personal status message here. Sometimes I may say, um, just because I want people to know that I'm here, but I don't necessarily want them to know that I'm available for them, but just not right now. So this kind of creates a little bit more information for people. So if you were to send me a message, that you can actually see that that's what I set up for people. Okay, I'll just put that there. Okay, and so it'll save the message here so that way whenever someone sends me a message, they'll get a bounce back message saying in the office, but in orientation till 11. Okay, all right, at the dentist till 12. Sorry, my screen is moving a little slower than I am. So yeah, essentially the message can be, it'll display every time someone sends it to you. You can edit it from here or you can just delete the message whenever you're ready. If you go to settings, under settings and calls, this is where you would go to configure your voicemail. So if you wanted to change that, you can do that from here. You can also do other things like forward your calls. If you wanted to forward your calls, you can forward them to voicemail. So if you were on vacation and you don't want to receive any voice Teams calls, you can send everything to voicemail from here. Or if you want, you can actually just pick a person. So if I wanted to, I can forward them to anyone I wanted to. We're going to use Jacob as for a lot of stuff. All right, so if I wanted, I can forward all my calls to him, and essentially everything will go to him if if I wanted to set it up like that. I can also set it up to a phone number if I want to. So you can set it up however you want. And again, all you need to do is click on new contact and number, and then you can just type in whoever's name you want to add. Okay. And you can also set this too. So if you, if the call rings to you, you can have it ring to someone else at the same time. And if it's unanswered, you can have it go to voicemail, or you can have it go to someone else if you want to. You can set up how you want your calls to go if they're unanswered. And then you can also set up your voicemail from here as well again. From devices, this is where you would go if you have questions about your devices. So you can check your camera to make sure your camera is set up correctly. If you're having issues with sound, so like the audio devices, if they're not working, you can actually come here and you can see, let's have some questions. Okay, all right. Give me 1 second, you guys. All right, so this is where you would go to make a test call. You can actually change your audio devices if you want. So if the headphones aren't working and you were connected to something else, you can actually check to make sure you're connected to the headphones for speaker and for the microphone. All right, so if you guys have questions, what you can do is, okay. All right, sure. If you want to, you can also unmute yourself and just ask me the question if that's easier.
Melissa, I had a question just on differences between us in HQ that
Yes.
had a lot of stuff set up for us and our field. Like you were talking a lot, set up your voicemail. I know this is for my work number, because we also received Creative's iPhones. But how does that work for the field? Which number does it? Do they have to set it up? What are the differences with field basically? Because a lot of the stuff that you're talking about, the reason I wouldn't know how to do any of it myself, but I'm still able to use it easily, is that you set it all up for me. So it's really great.
Yeah. So the field team should be exactly the same as our teams. Teams doesn't. The only difference maybe is that they may have phone numbers and they may not have phone numbers. That's the only difference. And let me ask, do you guys actually, if one of the guys from the field, if you guys can answer, do you guys have the numbers listed in your teams? Let's see. Let's see. Okay. Can you guys hear me there? If one of you guys can unmute and just let me know if you guys actually do have numbers on your teams.
They're all
We
muted.
don't
But
have, I think.
Marian, maybe she's
I
trying
don't
to.
think we don't have numbers listed right now because
Oh,
we are
okay.
still the teams. So we can set it up maybe later for that.
Yeah. So if they don't have numbers set up through Teams, then they would still make calls the way they've been making calls. I just want to make sure I cover this part just in case that changes for them in the future. But in Teams, even if you don't have a number listed, you can still call people who have Teams. So like right now, I can call Jacob if I want to through Teams, even if he doesn't have a phone number, just for the simple fact that he has a Teams account. So we can communicate each other via the internet via Teams if you don't have a phone number. The only difference if you have a phone number that what this allows you to do is this allows you to be able to call people outside if you have a phone number listed. And what that means is people outside of Teams. So if you can't find their name in here and you actually have to dial their number. So if I was to dial my personal cell phone number, I will require an actual number here.
And
So
Melissa, Most of 10 hours, is that for any time we're on Teams, or just when we're using the number? I'm sorry, I'm just linking it to my experience with Skype, which is like free unless you're using the number. 10 hours might be relevant to us, so maybe if you can explain what that covers.
So the 10 hours of free international calling is only going to apply if they actually have the Teams number. For everyone else, any calls that you make via Teams, like if I wanted to call you right now and I would have called you via Teams, that's not a charge against those 10 hours of international calling. So it doesn't matter where at, if the person has Teams, then it's free. If they don't have phone numbers listed right now, then the 10 hours of international calling is not going to pertain to them.
Perfect. Thanks so much, because we have a lot of experience. We've been mainly using Skype, just simple Skype, not even Skype for Business. And it kind of what you explained, it's exactly the same.
And so Skype for Business is actually what we used to use. This is the replacement for Skype for Business. So that's the reason why they're pushing Teams with you guys, is because Skype for Business is actually no longer supported by Microsoft. So it is a software that they're actually trying to get rid of. Teams is the replacement for Skype for Business. So essentially, if you think of it just like Skype for Business, Teams is really for office communication, for you guys to communicate between the different offices without having to make it difficult. It makes it very easy because it makes everyone visible. So if you have a new hire who starts, you don't have to go and figure out what their Skype name is. You don't have to figure out what their phone number is. You can easily just come in here, type their name in, and just find them, no matter who they are. You can just start typing in their name or even a part of their name and find them and send them messages or give them a call from here directly. So if I wanted to, no matter who I pick out, I can instantly just come in here and call them. It doesn't matter whether or not I have a phone number in Teams or not. All right. So that's pretty much with Teams. The best thing to do is, if you haven't started using it yet, is to download it and install it, or if you have it on your computer, to open it up and use it, and just start communicating people with that way. That way it allows you to be able to just start getting familiar with it and comfortable with it. But Teams is just like any other messaging application, is no different from anything else that we use. It says requires phone verification and my Somalian phone is not roaming when out of the country. Okay. So what do you, can you unmute yourself and explain to me what's going on there?
Yes, I can. Hi, this is Boyan. So the security verification that activates from time to time for our basically creative accounts requires either phone call or texting. And my default number is Somali number, because in Somalia only Somali phones work. So, but when I'm out of country, like now, the verification doesn't work because my Somali phone is not in network, not in roaming. So I cannot literally access any service of creatives, including email and Teams and SharePoint and other stuff.
Let me ask you this: when you're traveling abroad, do you have an alternative number that you use?
I do have.
You do? Okay, so then what you'll need to do is, if you can separately off this call, let me.
But the problem with the alternative number is it doesn't work in Somalia, right?
Well, the good thing about alternative number is that you can choose. So the one thing about the MFA, the way that works is you can actually set, I'm going to show you guys real quick. I'm going to show you real quick. There's a way, if you're in your Office account or if you're able to access your Office account.
Which I'm not, because it requires verification.
Which I can help you with that part. So I can do that for you, but I just want to show this to you guys, how this actually works. Once my screen actually decides to start working well. The internet, I guess, is everyone's on the internet right now in my house. All right, give me a second, you guys. All right. So when you come in here to your account, under your account, when you guys sign into it, there's a way under security. And I don't expect you guys to remember all this. I can actually just wanted to show you that there are multiple ways that you guys can sign in. So this is the MFA setup here. We have it set up to where it notifies you through the app. But for certain people that are out in the field, if you are having complications with doing the MFA, so for instance, if you're saying that your phone doesn't work when you travel abroad outside of Somalia, what you can do is you can set an alternative number. So here I have my creative cell phone number listed as the authentication phone number, but I also have an alternative number. I can list 2 different alternative phone numbers. So this one here I have listed, which is my personal cell phone. So that way, if I leave my phone at home, I can always go in and when you ask to authenticate, it says like choose another way. You can actually just you can select the option to text you at a different phone number or call you on a different phone number if as an option. And another thing too is that you guys can also set up the Authenticator app on your phone. The Authenticator app doesn't require a phone number as long as you have internet. So like if you have, so if your phone number doesn't work when you travel to a different country, but your phone still has internet, then you should still be able to authenticate if you have the MFA app on your phone. So there are a couple of different things we can do to help you mitigate that particular problem right there. All right. So does that answer your question?
It does. The only problem is for me currently, which can last a few months, right, with this whole Corona situation.
Yeah.
How can I access this now when it requires actually authentication?
So what I'll have to do is when we get off this call, I'll need to do a separate call with you, and we'll need to get the server team involved to have them add that additional number in for you. And then once we add the additional number in for you, I'll send you instructions on how to actually set up the Authenticator app on your phone itself.
Excellent. Another question about the app. I have it actually installed on my phone, but it manages my IRI account. Right?
Oh, okay. You can add another account to it. So if you have you have the Microsoft Authenticator app, then you can add another account to that. So there are people who work in HQ, like Claudia Lockwood, I believe. She has I was working with her last week before we left out of the office, and she had 2 accounts on her Authenticator app. She had her field account on there, and she had her HQ account on there. So it is possible for you to have 2 separate accounts on that app.
Well, great. I mean, the alternative number, and then if the application works with more than one account, that will definitely solve the problem.
Yeah, it will. It definitely should help. So
Great,
what I'll
thanks.
do is I'll reach out to you directly after this call. What is your email address? Is it
well,
or can you put your email address in the chat and I'll pull it from there.
Exactly. Yes.
Thank you. All right. So
thank you.
I'm going to go on to Zoom if you guys don't have any more questions about Teams or the MFA. Or if you do, just stop me real quick before I keep going.
Melissa, maybe a comment only. I understood that from Roger, right, that's a preferred way of communication for creative, because we're all in HQ, we're all set up on Teams and we're using Microsoft, and many folks in the field are also having calls like Gebe with grants. So others are alternatives, but this is kind of where we want to be, using Teams if we can.
Yeah, so again, like I said, Teams is the replacement for Skype for Business. So if you guys were used to using that in the past, Teams creates that availability and a visibility that you can't get with any other application for their entire company. That's why they urge you guys to use Teams, because it creates visibility, it creates availability, it creates instant communication between each other. So they definitely urge you guys to use Teams for everything. Zoom, I'm just going over Zoom real quick because I don't believe everyone on this call even has Zoom, but I know Roger he pointed out the fact that you guys can still sign up for Zoom and get a limited account. So if you just sign into Zoom, you can do a basic account, and a basic account allows you guys to be able to it allows you to be able to have up to 40-minute meetings. And let me check. I see got one message coming through. Okay, that's the email. All right.
You're checking for background. We this team, Build Somalia, we have used not Skype for Business. We have used pure Skype, like the old traditional Skype. With the HQ, I have no idea why, but for us in elections practice area, for some reason, we were all just using Zoom. We understood we just didn't know, but we'll switch to Teams now. And we as a team we'll be switching to Teams after this call. I think we'll start testing, but for background, HQ level, we've been using Zoom.
Okay.
Field team, we've just been using Skype, but are looking to move. Skype is a problem when someone drops out, and then you may have to call back. And so we'll see if we can switch to Teams. But that's
and Teams is good for that, but Zoom is also good too, just for certain things. So just so you guys are aware, so if you don't have a Zoom account now, you can create a basic account, and then if you guys want a paid account, it's $20 per month. You just let me know, and then we can charge it to the project for each individual person. But I believe there are a lot of people out right now who actually does have a Zoom account for that particular project. So I don't believe everyone there does, but from what I've been told, there are a few people that do. So if you do have a Zoom account, or you're a person who doesn't have one, just so you do know that you can actually allow another person to start your meeting for you. All you need to do is list that person as an alternative host with their email address. If someone who you're listening as an alternative host doesn't have a Zoom account, they just need to sign up for a basic account so that way they can be a host. Another thing too, just so you guys are aware with Zoom, Zoom also has the ability for you to be able to grant someone else your scheduling privileges. And then you can also share your screen through a mobile device. So Zoom is really good for that particular thing. So like, for instance, the issue that is it Bojan? How do you pronounce your first name?
Boyan.
Boyan. So for your particular issue, like if we can't fix it, what I can do, as long as you have internet, I can send you a Zoom link, and actually you can open it up on your cell phone and actually can see everything that you have on your phone. So the one good thing that I like about Zoom is it also has other benefits to it. So like I can use it to create training videos. I can also use it for like meetings where people are outside of creative who don't have Teams. Now Teams does still work for people outside of Teams as well, but Zoom, I like it just a little bit more for that particular reason, just because it's easy for some people to access and use, easier than Teams. So it still has some benefits to it. So you can still utilize it as where you feel better using it. So I like Zoom for outside communications, and I like using Teams for office communications, just to kind of put it like that. So it still has its benefits for you guys to be able to use. So still utilize it as you need to. But Teams would still be better for your office communications, if you guys get what I'm saying. All right. So I'm going to go on to just giving you guys a couple of different links here. So these are just some links. So if you guys want to just record these down, if you want to install Zoom, you can go here, and then when you if you just go to zoom.us, or for you guys country, it may be different, but it should auto take you to whatever site is for your country, or it may be the same when you travel abroad. If you can't find it with these links here for Zoom, then just search it in Google, and it should still take you to the country site for Zoom. And then for Office, it would just be office.com. And while you guys record those links, do you guys have any more questions, or is there anything that I can answer for you guys or show you guys anything at all?
Would you recommend that we have Zoom on our phone or on our computers at work?
Put it on both. I have it on both my cell phone and on my computer. And you can install it anywhere. It's free to install.
So the temporary Zoom, it doesn't expire, right?
No, it doesn't. So with Zoom, it's either a basic account or a licensed account. If you have a basic account, again, the only downfall is your meetings can only go up to 40 minutes. If you have a full license account, then you can have meetings as long as you want them to last.
So we should aim for a 40-minute meeting, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
But if you guys need a fully licensed account, then you just need to get approval for the license, and that's it. It's only $20 a month, so it's not that expensive.
And can I ask, is it, I never used it as such, but when Zooming from my phone, I'm not able to see the screen, the shared screen. Is that just because I never tried to use it, or does that not work on the phones?
Oh, okay. So on your phone, you can use a share screen on your phone. Let me actually show you guys real quick. Where's my cell phone at?
It works on my phone.
Yeah. Actually, if any of you guys actually click on the actual Zoom link from your cell phone, you should be able to join the meeting from your phone. And if I stop sharing, you should be able to select the option to share. Here, I'm gonna just put you on hold for 1 second. Let me see if I can find my cell phone right quick.
And while Melissa does that, now I understand why. I always thought when I Zoom in, because when we get an invitation for a Zoom call, you get the number to dial in and the link. And I thought the link for some reason only worked for my computer, but it seems that that was wrong. So you can click on the link. Because when you call in a phone, then obviously you don't see the screen.
Yeah. All right. Well, looks like my cell phone is dead. All right. Let's see if I can click in there from here. All right, I can't show you right now, but if you do it from your phone should look the same way it does on your computer. You should see a share button at the bottom that says share. That's going to be in green. And once you share the actual screen, you should see options. You'll see a whole bunch of options pop up if you do it from your cell phone, and they'll say either you want to broadcast or you want to share off a particular app.
But Melissa, can I then double check what I just said?
Yeah.
When we get a Zoom invitation, we get the link and then we get a bunch of numbers. So I guess that's to have different options. So normally I called the number wrongly, I guess, thinking that I had to use the number when calling from my phone. Why are these different options? And are there differences if I call?
Oh,
using-
okay.
I
No,
don't
there
have-
is no difference with the phone number. So the numbers are there as an alternative option. So like if you want, you can just like click on the link. So that's another reason why with Zoom is easier in the sense the only thing people really need is the link. So if you click on the link from your phone, it should automatically take you into the meeting. and you can do voice through the actual device itself. You don't have to do voice via a phone call. So those are your options. So you can, if you dial the number, you're just getting the voice through the actual phone itself. You're not actually a part of the meeting. So if they share off a screen or they share content to you, you won't be able to see that by dialing into the phone. If you click on the link itself, you'll be able to see things that they share to you in the meeting, as well as any conversation. You'll hear both parts of it.
Got it.
And I think if you call, it also doesn't require internet, or shit.
Yeah, that's another thing too. And that's
Yeah.
so if you don't have internet, making a phone call would be the alternative. So if you cannot join into the call by clicking on the link, then you can dial the number, and they give you different options based on if you're in a different country or whatever works better for you based on your location. And again, that does not require you to have internet at all.
Is that also possible with the basic package?
Yeah, everything works the same with the basic. The only difference is the meeting's only going to be 40 minutes long.
Okay, thank you.
And you may lose other features, like you can't add banners and backgrounds and stuff like that to your actual like screen behind you if you're doing a video call. Not that too many people use that. But you may lose little features like that. But as far as like the basic stuff, being able to share your screen and start a meeting, you can do all that with a basic account. The only difference is that it will only be up to 40 minutes long.
So if you have the licensed version, how many people can you invite in a meeting? Does it have any limit, or just it can go as long as it can?
The meeting can go as long as you want it to go. If you want
I
to
mean,
have
the number of people that can attend.
the
or-
number of people that can attend is up to 200 people.
Oh.
Once it gets beyond that, then you have to create a separate license for a webinar.
Oh, okay.
And those are like $40 a month for a webinar license.
That's like a bro version.
Yeah. And a webinar creates a little bit more features too. Like you can do different things with that, but that's pretty much it. Do you guys have any other questions?
Is there any disadvantages to Zoom that you've encountered as a user?
Not really. I like Zoom. Zoom works really good for like outside communications. So when people call me, just depends on what you're calling me for, what they're having an issue with. So like for me to teach you guys and train you on Teams, it's easier for me to use Zoom. It makes more sense for me to use Zoom. If I was showing you about Zoom, training you guys on Zoom, then I would probably do a Teams meeting with you. It just really depends on what you're trying to do. But as far as like everyday communications, Teams is really just my number one choice. Yeah. All right. So if you guys don't have any other questions, I'm going to go ahead and end the call. And then I'll send this presentation over to Chris to have sent out to all you guys. And if there's any additional information, I'll also add my email address at the bottom of the presentation. So that way, if you guys want to reach out to me, you can reach out to me directly. But the best way to get in contact with me is to just send me a Teams message, because I'll see it very quickly, or you can send me an email, either or.
Thank you so much, Melissa. We really appreciate your time on this.
No problem at all. Anything that you guys need, and if I didn't answer any of you guys' questions today, please feel free to send me a message directly. You can find me just by searching me under my name there, Melissa Dykes.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. If you don't have any other questions, you can just go ahead and drop off. It was a pleasure. Thank you guys.
Thank you so much, Melissa. Appreciate your time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Melissa.
All right. Bye, you guys.
Bye.